The training deck of the Stellar Covenant hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of artificial gravity generators, a constant reminder that beyond the reinforced hull lay the infinite vacuum. Adam's knuckles had long since gone numb from the impacts, but the pain in his ribs remained sharp and immediate. Again, Instructor Vector clicked through his translator, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the harsh LED lights. The Krathi believed in trial by combat, even in diplomatic corps training. Especially in diplomatic corps training. Adem struggled to his feet, tasting copper. Across from him, Jax and his two companions, a centauri with enhanced musculature, and a human augment from the belt colonies circled like predators. This was the 5th sparring session this week. The human struggles again, Jax announced, loud enough for the dozen other cadets to hear. Perhaps Earth should reconsider sending such... The laughter stung worse than the bruises. Adem knew the instructors watched from the observation deck above. He'd filed 3 formal complaints through proper channels. Each time, the response was identical. Diplomatic service requires resilience. Prove yours. He raised his fists again. The hit came from his blind side, the augment's fist moving faster than unenhanced human reflexes could track. Adem went down hard, his head cracking against the impact-resistant flooring. Through blurred vision, he saw Instructor Vector's appendages remain motionless. No whistle, no intervention. Enough, someone said. The voice cut through the ambient noise like a scalpel through flesh, precise, controlled, utterly calm. Every head on the training deck turned. She stood in the doorway, and Adem's concussed brain struggled to process what his eyes reported. Human, definitely human. But there was something in the way she held herself that suggested she'd forgotten how to move like prey. Her uniform bore no rank insignia, just a simple patch. Observer Corps. This session is closed to F. Vector began. Observer Protocol 7, she interrupted, her dark eyes never leaving Jax and his companions. I'm invoking immediate assessment authority. Adam watched through his haze as she flowed across the training deck. She moved with the economy of motion he'd only seen in zero-G combat veterans, each step perfectly calibrated for maximum efficiency. You want to test resilience, Instructor? She stopped 3 meters from Jax's group, hands relaxed at her sides. Then let's discuss the Titan protocols. Adem saw Jax's confident smirk falter. The Centauri took an involuntary step back. The year was 2147, she continued in that same surgical tone. Saturn's moon, Titan. First contact with the Krill. They tested us too. Wanted to see if humanity could handle real violence. Her gaze swept across the 3 bullies. Would you like to know what they learned? Silence blanketed the deck. They learned that humans don't just survive violence. We catalog it. We study it. We build entire academic disciplines around understanding every possible way sentient beings can hurt each other. She tilted her head slightly, and Adem felt a chill despite his injuries. And then we get very, very good at it. This is inappropriate, Vector interjected, but his translator betrayed uncertainty in its pitch modulation. The woman Maya, Adem suddenly remembered from classified briefings he'd skimmed, finally looked at the instructor. Just looked. Adem couldn't see her expression from his position on the floor, but he watched Vector's crystalline structure actually dim, a biological stress response he'd only read about in xenobiology texts. Inappropriate, Maya repeated softly, is allowing systematic abuse in a diplomatic training program. Inappropriate is 3 enhanced individuals attacking 1 baseline human while instructors catalog his breaking point. She turned back to Jax. The Titan protocols ended when the Krill realized something critical about humanity. She took 1 step forward. Jax and his companions scattered like startled birds. They realized we have a word that translates poorly into most galactic languages: proportionality. It means we can choose exactly how much force a situation requires. It means we can show mercy. Another step. The augment actually whimpered. It also means we can calculate exactly how much violence is sufficient to end a threat permanently. Adem felt hands surprisingly gentle helping him sit up. A medical officer, human, had materialized beside him with a portable scanner. But here's what really terrified the Krill, Maya continued. And now she smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. We can teach restraint to our children. We can build entire civilizations on the principle of measured response. And then, when necessary, we can set aside that restraint with perfect clarity of purpose. Jax found his voice, though it cracked. You're threatening us? No. Maya's smile vanished. I'm teaching you what Instructor Vector failed to teach. Strength isn't about dominating the vulnerable. Strength is having power and choosing not to use it. She glanced at Adem, and for a moment, something almost warm flickered in her expression. Strength is standing up when it would be easier to stay down. She turned to address the entire deck. The Observer Corps doesn't intervene often. We prefer to watch, to document how different species adapt to multi-species environments. But when we see the fundamental principles of the Covenant being violated, she let the sentence hang. Instructor Vector, she said formally, you have 48 hours to submit revised training protocols to the Oversight Committee. Cadets Jax, Rentar, and Chen, you're reassigned to the Prometheus Deep Space Survey Vessel. 6 months of actual frontier work might teach you what simulation cannot. The training deck erupted in frantic activity, instructors consulting datapads, cadets whispering urgently. Through it all, Maya walked back to Adem, who was now standing with the medic's support. Can you walk? She asked quietly. Yes, ma'am. Good. She studied him for a moment. The real test of diplomatic service isn't whether you can take a beating, cadet. It's whether you can face your aggressors afterward with dignity intact and still offer them a path to peace. She glanced back at the 3 departing bullies. Remember that. Someday, you might need to negotiate with people who've done worse to you than this. As she walked away, Adem found his voice. Observer Maya. She paused. Thank you. She didn't turn around, but he heard the smile in her voice. Thank the Krill. They taught us that sometimes, the most human thing we can do is remind the galaxy why we earned our place among the stars. The door hissed shut behind her, and Adem realized he was grinning despite the pain. Somewhere in the galaxy, humanity's reputation was being written in moments exactly like this, not through conquest or domination, but through the careful application of presence, knowledge, and the willingness to stand between the strong and the weak. The instructors let the bullies keep hitting, until she walked in and ended it with one look. That, Adem thought as the medic guided him toward the infirmary, was very human indeed. And